Hello and welcome to Daddy Share Space. So about 2 months ago, I did an oil change on my 2003 Dodge Ram 1500 4.7 liter truck, and I spoke in a video about how I had never had any issues with smog, and that changing my oil and doing my spark plugs has always kind of worked out for me. Probably shouldn't have said that, but basically right after I finished that repair, I came out and I found my check engine light to be on. So I did some troubleshooting. I actually have my manual for my vehicle. It's a simple repair manual that you can buy at any auto parts store that I went through to try to investigate the problem. I also Googled on YouTube and I pulled out my actual scan tool. And with the scan tool, I got several EVAP codes, one of them being the P0442 EVAP leak code. And initially my scan tool was telling me that I needed to get a leak detection pump, which is this part right here. And so I went online and I went to my local AutoZone and I bought it. This part was $59.99. So I purchased that, I replaced it, and I still had a check engine light on. So I continued to troubleshoot. I ended up investigating the hoses a little bit more, and the hose looked a little bit questionable, so I actually bought some hose as well and replaced the hoses that went to the leak detection pump up under the vehicle. And I still was unable to get the check engine light to go off. After that, and upon further investigation, I ended up replacing the canister purge valve, which is this component right here. And while replacing that, I inspected the hoses, and I also replaced those hoses as well because they looked like they were had seen better days. Now there was kind of like an assembly that would go from the front part of the engine down back towards the back of the car, and I went to my local Dodge dealer to find out if they had that part, that whole assembly, and it is discontinued. My vehicle is 20 years old, and so a lot of the parts for my vehicle can't not be purchased. So it got me a little bit afraid that I may not be able to fix the vehicle. So I just continued to plug away at the problem because the check engine light was still not on. I looked online and I found out about this vapor canister. Going back, this this purge valve apparatus was about $63.99. So then I learned about the charcoal container or canister, or vapor canister is what they call it, that's underneath my truck, and I found this at AutoZone for $135.99. I purchased it, I changed it out, I inspected the hoses were fine, and once I replaced that, I still had a check engine light on. Following that, I replaced this Mopar. It's another type of vapor canister as well that goes up underneath the car. And after replacing all of these components, I was still unable to get the check engine light to go off. Now, before I actually changed the all of the hoses or whatever, well, let me back up. There was one of the hoses that came from one of these components underneath the vehicle was going up into the engine compartment, and it just had like a plastic cap to seal it on the end. And the reason I discovered that component, because since I was unable to get the problem solved by replacing all of these components, I ended up purchasing this Ansel S3000 Pro smoke detection machine, and I plugged it in where this canister purge valve goes, and I basically just took this little cone here and stuck it into the opening and I went down by where the leak detection pump was, and I put like a plastic clamp to clamp it off, and I ran the smoke machine, and I was able to trace down the leak, which was actually going back up into the engine component to basically a dead end hose that just had like a plastic apparatus that plugged into the hose. It had basically deteriorated. And so I ended up having to go to, it was basically a non-repair type of part. So I had to use a little bit of ingenuity. I went to Home Depot and I found I found a type of brass fitting that would actually go down inside of the tube, and then I actually put a brass cap on it to seal it up. And also I put one of those metal rings that kind of tighten with a screwdriver so that it was airtight. I ran the smoke machine after that. I couldn't detect any other leaks in the system. However, the check engine light was still on. By this time, I'm really frustrated. I went ahead and changed out all my spark plugs. After I changed, or while I was changing my spark plugs, this ignition coil, it actually fell off of the engine bay down onto the ground, and it was from I think the 4th cylinder or something like that, or in the firing order it was number 4, and it hit the ground. I didn't think much of it. I put everything back together, and once I started the car up, it was running even worse than it was in the beginning. And I hooked up my scan tool, and the scan tool basically said that that there was a failure with the actual fuel injector at, that was leading from this particular injector. So I did my research. I was going to go buy a whole set of fuel injectors, because why just replace one? I think they were like $50 a piece for one, but $300 for the set. So I went ahead and before I bought that one, I remembered that I had dropped this component and that it had wiring that went to that fuel injector. So I went ahead and bought one of these. It was $46.99 at my local AutoZone. I replaced it. The car still seemed to be a bit sketchy. The check engine light remained on. After doing all of these things, I decided, I probably need to, either drop the gas tank or take the bed of my truck off so that I can investigate and see if there was any kind of leaks further back in the system. Because one of the first things I did was actually change the gas cap, because a lot of times if you have your check engine light on, it can simply be from your gas cap being either bad or not tightened down. So I went through all those steps, and as I said, it took 2 months basically for me to get to where I'm at now, where I feel comfortable talking about it. That's why I just posted my little video that it was supposed to be up a couple months ago about me, changing my oil and how that keeps me out of my shop and learning how to do my little woodworking. I am a true DIYer to the heart. I'm trying to do everything I possibly can, from lawn care to auto mechanics, and now I'm learning about woodworking and all of these things in between. So after finishing all this process, I just wanted to kind of share a little bit of information that I discovered. So first and foremost, I went over the prices, and basically parts alone, just these parts here, I spent a total of $295.42, and let's just go ahead and round it out and say like $350 in parts, because I don't think that includes the ignition coil that I bought for $46.99. So about $350 in parts for all of these components, which I put on myself, and this smoke machine was $250 by itself. So you're talking $350 plus $250, you're looking at roughly $600. Now, the average, I Googled it, the average EVAP repair is between $100 and $600, right? And getting a little bit deeper into the weeds on that, a vapor canister replacement, which I believe that's this one here, can range anywhere, or it actually could be this one or this one. This component right here was $25.85. This one's $135. So basically replacing these components could be anywhere from $35 to $990. Replacement of the purge valve, which is this apparatus here, can be anywhere from $100 to $500. Replacing the leak detection pump is anywhere from $69 to $463, with the average cost of being $202. Replacing, basically just running a smoke machine is going to cost you anywhere from $60 for a mechanic to do it, $60 to $150, and it's $150 if the smoke machine leads to a repair. That does not include the repair itself. This simple ignition coil here that was $46.99, if I would have gone to the shop for my truck, it would have been $142 to $183 to put this on. And all it has is it plugs down onto the spark plug. The spark plug goes in here. There's one bolt, I think it's like a 10 millimeter, and then there's a plug that plugs in here. I would have been charged $142 to $183 just for replacement of this component, which I paid $46.99 for. So I did the math, and on the low end, if I was to get all of these things done on the low end, I believe I came up with a price of $406 is how much it would have cost. Now, what does that include? That's if you pay $35 for the vapor canister replacement. Now, we obviously know they're not going to replace a $135 item for 35 bucks, but I'm just giving the low number here. Maybe this one for 25, you know, maybe they'll replace this. So so for $406, that would include the vapor canister at its lowest price, the purge valve at $100 at its lowest price, the leak detection pump at $69 at its lowest price. And then what else do we have here other than the leak detection pump? Oh, the actual checking of the system with the smoke detector would be $60, which that's the lowest price. And then the lowest price to put on this ignition coil would be $142. Now, you're not going to get that lowest price because, you know, in the case of this purge valve detector, it actually costs $63.99 at AutoZone. Now, from a little bit of Googling, I've learned that a auto shop will charge anywhere from 25% to 500% on parts. That's an upcharge, and that's not including labor. So there's no way they're going to charge you $69 to put this on if it's $63.99 for the part. Likewise, well, actually, no, this one's $59.99. I misspoke. This one here is $63.99, right? They're not going to charge you, you know, whether it be $59 for this, if it's $69 to replace, or $63.99 for this, if it's basically $100 to replace. So now at the max, the highest end, and obviously this is a simple Google search, you can look it up yourself. The vapor canister here can cost as much as $990 to replace. Okay, the purge valve replacement, which is this one here, can be as high as $500 to replace. This leak detection pump can be as much as $463 to replace, with the average cost of being $202. The high part, or the high replacement for this, is $183. And then remember, if you have the smoke machine run on your vehicle, they're going to charge you $150 in order, if it leads to a repair. So that price comes in at $2,286. So basically, all of this work that I did here, right, on this vehicle, not including replacement hoses, if I paid the max amount, would be $2,286. Now, the thing is, I have a 2003 Dodge Ram 1500 that I paid $5,000 for, no, $5,500 for over 10 years ago. And this vehicle was actually smashed into the back of by some lady in her Mercedes-Benz when I was on my way home from work. And the insurance basically paid me $5,000. So basically out of pocket, I paid $500 for this truck, all right? And I've been doing the oil changes and the tune-ups over all this time. So it doesn't make a lot of sense if I were to spend $2,286 to get these components done. And especially when, you know, I mean, like, first and foremost, you know, the economy is really bad now. And people that don't have the money are not paying, you know, a bunch of discretionary funds out. I live in the state of California, where basically we have to do smog checks every 2 years. And there's a push, you know, they want to have cars that are all electric by, I don't know if it's 2030 or something like that, 2035. And so then these cars that run on these older components are going to be kind of going by the wayside. But that's another topic that I'll get into in another video. My issue is, I remember many years ago, I went to the smog place to get my vehicle checked. And there was a couple that went in there with their vehicle. And it's very clear just from me observing them that they didn't really know anything about auto mechanics or cars or anything like that. And the person at the smog place came and just told them, hey, you know, your car doesn't pass smog, and basically gave them a list of salvage places. Now, they drove in with their car, and this small place was basically saying, hey, here's a list of places where you can salvage and junk this car. Didn't ask them if they owe money on it, didn't offer to fix it or repair it, basically gave them information as if it was completely hopeless. And you know, if you live in a state with smog, if you don't pass smog, you can't drive the car legally. So this family, because neither, you know, the young lady or the young man, they did not know anything about how to troubleshoot and repair a vehicle on their own, their back is up against the wall to where they have to go get another vehicle based upon that one opinion. And there's, in my opinion, there's a motivation to kind of push people towards, you know, either buying a new vehicle because, you know, things are selling like they used to, simply because, you know, people are running out of money. And then also the push to electric vehicles, which I do want to talk about that in a future video, because I do have a lot of opinions on that. Anyways, I wanted this video to be a little bit shorter. It's probably longer than I really wanted it to be, but I'm sharing this type of information because I kind of, here on Daddy Share Space, that's what it's called, is Daddy Share Space. I'm sharing my journey. And so when you don't see me, you know, using my tools in the shop or doing whatever, I am trying to do something, trying to take care of business. It's the fall, and during this time, you know, trees shed their leaves. Unfortunately, I don't have palm trees in the front part of my yard. I have the trees that actually turn colors, and they look, you know, lovely, but they also make a lot of work. So every day I've been coming home from work, and I've been pulling out the lawnmower and the leaf blower, blowing all the leaves up and getting it up, because basically I think I may be the only house on the block that actually has one of those trees out there that, you know, you have to maintain this. If you have a palm tree, you don't have to worry about these things. So but anyways, I'm always you know, working on something, even if it's not, you know, doing my woodworking. I mean, I would love to be a lot more advanced in these things, but you know, I have no choice but to be patient. So anyway, so I do have one more video or update on my vehicle after these repairs. I did do one other repair, and I have an unboxing going with that. I also have some other tool unboxings and some knickknacks that I have coming up. So hope to see you in those videos. And I just want to thank everybody who has taken the time to watch any of my videos, to spend any time with them, and also for subscribing. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Take care.